The mantel held 5 figures now. Small, still, too quiet. Vera stood nearest. She didn't touch them, only stared. Lombard joined her, thoughtful. 5. That's us. Not for long, she whispered. Behind them, Wargrave entered. We must act logically. But even his voice was softer now, as if logic had grown tired. That night, they agreed to keep watch. Blore took the first shift. He sat near the front door, lantern in hand. Rain had lessened, but the house creaked more. He stared at shadows, blinking slow, heavy-lidded. Somewhere, upstairs, a floorboard groaned. He gripped the lantern tighter. Sleep called, but fear kept whispering, too. By morning, suspicion hardened like frost. The group searched again. Pantry, cellar, behind paintings, under beds. Nothing. Armstrong lifted a cloth, only dust beneath. Vera opened a cupboard, empty. Lombard checked the attic. Silence. The killer wasn't hiding in the house, because the killer was walking through it. Lombard proposed a plan. Determined. We'll set a trap. Bait them. Blore folded arms. Skeptical. With what? Confident. Routine. Predictability. Armstrong hesitated. Uncertain. You think they'll act tonight? Lombard nodded. Assertive. They have to. Wargrave remained silent. And in his silence, no one knew if he agreed, or if he planned. Later, Vera entered her room. It smelled of salt, of cold. The window was ajar. On the ceiling, a hook. Rope coiled neatly beside it. She froze. Her breath caught. Screams. Then she screamed. That night, Armstrong vanished. His bed undisturbed, his shoes gone. Lombard shouted through the house. No reply. Only the storm again, returning like a closing hand. Vera covered her mouth. Blore paced the hallway. Wargrave sat in the drawing room, eyes unreadable. And upstairs, the rhyme ticked forward. Lombard searched the shore in the gray dawn. Seafoam foamed along the rocks. He called Armstrong's name once, then twice. Only gulls replied. He spotted footprints, leading nowhere. The tide had wiped the inn clean. He turned back, alone. The next figure was gone. Only 4 remained on the mantel. 4 guests, 4 breaths, 4 fears. They gathered in the lounge, silent. Vera hugged herself. Lombard cleaned the revolver. Blore paced again. Wargrave sat perfectly still. The game was almost over, but the last move had yet to be made. Afternoon faded. Blore stepped outside, just briefly. A crash echoed from the cliffs. Vera and Lombard rushed to the terrace. Blore lay beneath a broken statue, one of the soldiers from the gallery. Stone shattered. So was he. 3 left. The rhyme held steady. Vera turned to Lombard. "You're armed. You were closest to Blore. Wargrave stood in the shadows. One of you is lying." The silence wasn't empty. It pulsed. 3 people, 3 names. No answers. Only waiting. The house had grown too quiet, as if the walls were listening. Vera stood by the hearth, shivering though the fire burned. Wargrave watched her. There is a final act in every trial. Lombard paced the room, revolver in hand. 3 of them. Each breath counted. Each heartbeat louder than the wind outside. Narrator. No more plans. No more hiding. Only the end approaching. That evening, no one ate. Plates remained untouched. Cutlery stayed clean. Vera sat at the table, eyes locked on nothing. Lombard kept near the door. Wargrave read quietly, or pretended to. The clock ticked, and ticked, and ticked. The storm had stopped, but no one felt relief. Narrator, softer. Silence had its own weight now, and it pressed on every corner. Vera stood suddenly. "It's you," she said. Wargrave looked up, calm. Lombard turned. "Don't be absurd." She trembled. "Everyone else is gone. Someone must be behind it." Wargrave rose. "And what if it is one of you? 3 faces, 3 truths, all lies. Sometimes justice wears a mask. Sometimes, so does guilt." At dusk, Vera walked the shore. The wind was calmer now. Salt clung to the air, cold and still. She saw a chair, upright, alone, facing the sea. Like someone had sat there, watching, waiting. She turned away, but the image stayed. Later that night, Vera found Lombard outside her room. There was a gunshot. They rushed downstairs. In the drawing room, Wargrave lay in his chair, eyes closed, a bullet wound in the center of his forehead. The revolver was missing. Lombard backed away. "Who?" Vera whispered. "We're the last." Morning arrived gently. Sunlight spilled across the floor, but the house felt darker than ever. Vera and Lombard stood across from each other. "No smiles, no peace," she said. "Only one of us walks off this island." He didn't deny it. The gun glinted between them. She saw her chance. He turned just slightly. She reached, grabbed the revolver. A shot rang through the house. Lombard collapsed. Vera stared at him, hands trembling, pulse racing. One left. Just one. Vera walked the house slowly, footsteps echoing. No voices, no breathing, no doors creaking. The silence was a presence now. She entered the bedroom, saw the hook, felt the weight of memory, and still. She climbed the stairs. The nursery rhyme was complete. 10 little soldier boys. None remained. Vera's hands shook as she tied the noose. She stood on the chair, looked out the window, and let the silence swallow her. Narrator fading. The story had reached its end, and the rhyme kept perfect time. The house stood still. The sea softened. The rain had stopped. Inside, chairs sat empty, plates untouched, rooms undisturbed. Footsteps echoed nowhere. 10 had come. Now the island held only wind and memory. Time passed. How long? No one could say. Hours? A day? The house no longer held movement, only echoes. Bedroom doors, still ajar, plates left on tables, curtains fluttering in the wind. The framed rhyme on every wall, complete. No voices remained to read it. 10 souls, 10 endings. Now only the house, remembered. Days later, the sea calmed. Clouds scattered. From the mainland, a boat approached, white wake trailing behind it. 2 policemen stood aboard, faces grim. They'd come to retrieve guests, but they'd find only silence. The men entered the house. Their footsteps echoed against stone floors. Empty. Too clean. They called out names. No answer. They found 10 bodies, 10 stories, 10 still faces, but no murderer, and no clues. Back on the mainland, the case was written up. Mysterious deaths. No survivors. The order of the deaths didn't match the logic. Who killed Wargrave? Who moved the chair? Who erased the trail? Each report ended the same way. Case unsolved. Weeks passed. Then, an envelope. Sealed. Stamped. Sent to Scotland Yard. Inside a letter. It began.
You will not know me, yet I have known you all.
Signed, Lawrence Wargrave. A confession. Wargrave's voice echoed through the written page. Thoughtful. I have always loved justice. He'd planned it all, invited each guest by their secret sin, each death timed with the poem, each step calculated, even his own. He faked his death, then finished the rest, then took his final bow. Soldier Island returned to silence. No more footsteps, no more voices, only the wind and waves and seagulls wheeling high above. The house began to weather, wood grayed, windows cracked, and the rhyme faded into the wallpaper. Locals stopped pointing toward the island. Children whispered about ghosts. Fishermen crossed themselves as they passed. No one claimed it. No one wanted it. Soldier Island had become a name, not a place. On quiet nights, the rhyme returns. 10 little soldier boys, a nursery tune, a warning, a curse. Parents hum it without knowing, but somewhere, the island remembers. I wanted to see justice done, absolute, final, perfect. And so he did. 10 people, 10 sins, 10 deaths, no jury, no appeal, only rhyme and silence. And then, there were none. Lawrence Wargrave was not mad. He wrote this carefully. He chose his victims not with hatred, but with precision. He studied their sins, measured them like weights on a scale, and found them all guilty. Justice, he said, must be perfect, and no courtroom could provide that. He planned for months, built false letters, invented servants, wrote instructions for strangers he'd never meet. Every detail mattered. The order of deaths, the rhyme, the illusion of chance, and one final twist, his own murder, by his own hand. He read their names like a juror. Marston, Rogers, Brent, MacArthur, all had killed but walked free. Armstrong's mistake, Bloor's perjury, Vera's child, Lombard's cruelty, and his own desire to be judge, jury, and executioner. Not revenge, justice. Soldier Island was perfect, cut off, remote. No escape, no phone, no prying eyes. and a house built like a stage. He smiled when he first read about it. Just the place, he said aloud, for a final performance. He recruited Dr. Armstrong, lured by flattery, bound by guilt, and once afraid, the doctor followed orders, helped fake a death, played his part, then he vanished into the sea. Wargrave had no remorse. After the final murder, Wargrave returned to the drawing room. He placed the revolver, arranged the chair, tied the string. He made his final confession, then closed his eyes and joined the silence he created. 10 people. No boat. No escape. No help. He wrote, "A crime should be beautifully executed." He left no evidence, no fingerprints, only a letter in a bottle and a legend that would never die. Weeks later, a fisherman found the bottle, the letter inside, dry, delivered to the police. And then, the mystery unraveled. But only in part. For even truth, when whispered from a grave, remains shadowed. Wargrave's dream of perfect justice came true. But what did it cost? 10 lives, 10 sins, no forgiveness. The law couldn't stop him, but neither could mercy. And, in the end, even the judge stood accused. And so, no one left the island. Not alive. No hero, no villain untouched. Only the rhyme, and a legacy written in silence. The island waits, still, for no one. Soldier Island slept beneath a silver sky. Waves kissed its shore with slower rhythm. The wind passed softly through empty windows. Inside the house, time had stopped. No voices, no footsteps, no clocks ticking, only silence. Patient, whole, a table set for 10, chairs pulled out, curtains swaying from an open window, dust beginning to settle in corners. A child's rhyme still nailed to the wall, its letters worn. The last page turned, but never removed. Wargrave had imagined the house as a courtroom, and it played the part well. Each room a witness, each hallway a testimony, each light flicker a judgment. And now the curtains were drawn. Trial over. Verdict served. On the mainland, the story changed. People whispered. They added ghosts, witches, curses, but the truth was stranger still. A man who made murder feel like mathematics and called it justice. 10 little soldier boys went out to dine. The words lingered in the minds of those who heard them. Each verse a clock hand, each death a toll. And when it ended, not even rhyme remained, only the silence afterward. That letter, his confession, was the only trace. Found by accident, delivered by chance, and even then, most doubted it. A madman, they said. But not a single word in that letter was unplanned. Marston, Mrs. Rogers, General MacArthur, Emily Brent, Bloor, Armstrong, Lombard, Vera Claythorne, Wargrave. Names carved into fog. Each one had a past. Each one brought it here and left it behind. The island remains, unclaimed, unloved, unchanged. Some say the birds avoid it, Others say, if you land there, you never dream again. And yet, the sea keeps kissing its shore, as if trying to forget. One final room, 10 chairs, each one empty, each one waiting. The fire, long gone out, but if you listen, you might still hear them. A cough, a laugh, a whispered name. But only if you believe. 10 were summoned, 10 were judged, 10 were silenced. And in the end, no mystery solved, no hero emerged, no villain escaped. Only rhyme, only silence, only sea.